Hey everybody, this is the fourth here, and welcome to my beginner's crash course for FL Studio. In this video, I'm going to be making a song from scratch, and as I do so, I'm going to be explaining the different tools in FL Studio on a basic level, so that hopefully by the end of this video series, you will have learned enough about FL Studio so that you can start making your own songs. Now, in this video, I'm going to be focusing purely on the technical aspect rather than the musical aspect. But in the future, I do plan to do a crash course on music composition as well. So if you want to see that, definitely subscribe and it will be out in the future. And that said, I don't want you to follow along and try to make the same song that I'm making. What I do want you to do is follow along and play around with the different tools while I'm explaining them, just to kind of get a feel for how they work and to help get that knowledge embedded in your mind. So let's get started. The first thing you should know is how to open and save projects. So it's pretty similar to most other programs. You just go to the file up here, and then you can open your projects, you can save a new version, and you can start a new project. Now, when you first open FL Studio, it probably opens to one of the demo songs. And to get an empty project, what you want to do is go to File, New from Template, and then Minimal down to Empty. I prefer to go with the empty project, but you can definitely check out the other templates and see if you prefer one more than the empty project. Now, the next thing you should know is how to open up the FL Studio manual, which all you have to do is click on the Help, and then Help Index. And this will take you to the full FL Studio reference manual. So if you want to learn more than is in this video and certain things you can't find on other online tutorials, it'll definitely be in this manual. All right. Now, another important thing you should know in this menu up here before starting off is the audio settings under your options. Now, by default, it's set to probably your primary sound driver. And really, as a beginner, the only thing you should be changing right now is the buffer length. And if you're working on a song and you hear some pops, crackles, skipping, it probably means you have some underruns going on. And what you'll want to do is one of two things. You'll either want to increase the buffer length, or even better, use the ASIO for all, because the ASIO for all sound driver allows you to have a lot more going on in your project before you start getting underruns. And if you do start getting underruns with the ASIO for all, you can click here to show the ASIO panel, and then you can adjust the buffer size here. But if you're going to follow along with this video, you should not be using the ASIO for all, because basically what it does is it monopolizes your audio so that either you won't be able to hear the audio in FL Studio or you won't be able to hear the audio in this video. So for now, I'd say leave it on your primary sound driver, but in the future, definitely use ASIO for all. And it should have come in your FL Studio download, but if it didn't, you can download it separately and then use it later. Now, right under these options here, you have this little bar, which is called the tips bar. And this is super helpful for beginners and experienced users, because not only does it give you a quick explanation of whatever you might be hovering over, but it will also give you different values on things that you are adjusting. So if I adjust this master volume fader here, you can see on the tips bar that it's giving me a percentage value, a decibel value, and then a decimal value. And it'll also alert you to any certain shortcuts there might be. So if you see here, it says F5 over on the right of the tips bar. So if you don't know what something does and you want a quick explanation, then all you have to do is check out the tips bar. And another thing is, if you can see here on the tips bar, it has view browser and then a / plugin picker. That means the two different mouse buttons will do different things. If you left click it, it'll go to the view browser. If you right click it, it'll go to the plugin picker. Okay, now these three windows right here are a few different kind of monitors. So this one here is your time monitor. And if you click on it, you can alternate between it showing minutes and seconds versus it showing bars and beats. And then if you click over here, you can switch it from beats to steps. And this one here is your output monitor, which monitors the final audio output of FL Studio. And if you click here, it'll alternate between a spectrum view and an oscilloscope. And then right here is a bit of a peak meter. And now this one is your computer usage monitor. It'll tell you how much RAM you're using, as well as how much CPU you're using. Now this panel here is the panel where you can set your tempo, you can play your song, you can stop it, and you can record. So if you want to play your song, you can just click on the play button, or you can press the spacebar. And you can press the spacebar again to stop. You can switch between pattern and song mode by pressing this button, which I'll get into more a little bit later on. But what you should know right now, and probably something you're going to want to do at the beginning of any song, is how to change your tempo. Now there are a few different ways to set your tempo. You can click and drag to change the value like that. And then right here you have the coarse beats per minute, and here you have fine beats per minute. So usually you won't need to use the fine tempo unless you're trying to get FL Studio in sync with maybe a live recorded audio. So normally if you're making a song from scratch, you'll probably want to leave that alone, but it's good to know that it's here because you can change the tempo to a very fine number. And you can also set the tempo to a few different preset values by right-clicking and then selecting between 80 and 160 beats per minute. And last but definitely not least, you can set your tempo by using the tap option here. This is really useful if you have a melody or a beat or something in your head and you want to get the song at the same tempo as that. And in order to tap in the tempo, all you have to do is, while you're kind of humming the melody or whatever, just either click your mouse or press a key on your keyboard in the rhythm. So just like this. And it'll latch on to the tempo that you're typing in. For this song, I'm just going to set it at 128 beats per minute. Now this toolbar here is called your shortcuts toolbar. And what it does is it brings up the main tools that you have in FL Studio, like the playlist, the step sequencer, the piano roll, the browser, and the mixer. And each of these can also be brought up by using one of the function keys. So if you don't know which function key it is, you can learn it just by checking the tips toolbar. And you can see it says the mixer is F9, the browser is F8, the piano roll is F7, and so on. So what I'm going to bring up right now is the browser. Now the browser is where you can find all kinds of different presets, samples, and other files that can be opened and edited within FL Studio. I'm not going to go into very much depth about how it is arranged, because that would take quite a while. If you want to pause the video now and explore a little bit, definitely feel free to do that. or you can just explore more later on. But I will be telling you a bit about how the browser works. Now, there are some pretty cool options for organization of the browser while you're working on a song. And one of these options is the ability to use snapshots. So how this works is while you're operating under a certain snapshot, so right now I'm under snapshot 1, if I open up packs and drums and let's say hats, then it'll stay open to the hats menu as long as I'm on snapshot 1. Now I can switch over to a different snapshot, and maybe I want to open up channel presets. And you can switch between the snapshots by pressing the number keys. So 1 and then 2. You can see 1 brings me back to the hats, and 2 brings me back to the channel presets. And there's also the option to do auto snap, which what that does is as you're doing different things, it will snap to different sections of the browser. So if it's on auto and you do Control Z, I think it will take you to the undo history, which I personally find the auto snap to be annoying, but you might like it. You can play around and see if you like it or see if you hate it. Now, if you're browsing your samples and let's say you've just opened, all kinds of different things, trying to find, a specific sample for your kick or whatever. Now, if you want to close all of these really easily, you don't have to just manually click on each one. You can come up here and click the arrow that's going upwards to collapse structure. And what that does, it just closes everything so that you have your browser back to the main options. One important thing to know about the browser that might not be very intuitive is the undo history. So if you make a mistake while you're editing your song, you can click this button or do Control Z to basically undo and redo that one mistake. But if you want to go back more steps than that, you can right-click this button, and it'll take you to the current project's undo history. And right now I haven't made any changes to the song, so all it says is the last reset. But if you've been working on a song for a while, usually it'll have a number of undos. And you can change how the undo history works by going to the options and general settings. Then right down here, you can change the maximum undo levels. And you can also decide whether or not you want to be able to undo knob tweaks or not. So what it means if you want to be able to undo knob tweaks is if I adjust the master volume, if that option is off, I won't be able to undo that. But if it's on, then I will be able to do Control Z and fix it. You can also add your own custom folders to the browser. I'm not going to go into that in this video because I've already made a video about how to do that. But I will have the link to that video in the description if you want to check that out. So you can see my custom folder is my library, where I keep different samples that I've bought or made or whatever. FL Studio comes with quite a few samples already bundled with the program. And where you can find these samples is under the packs folder in the browser. And you'll see you have drums, instruments, legacy, loops, sound effects, and vocals. And for right now, what I want to do is go to the legacy. And these are the samples from the older versions of FL Studio. And the reason I'm doing that is because in this video, I'm going to be making a trap song. And the vintage drums from the older versions of FL Studio have, the old 808 sounds, which are super common and kind of a signature of trap music. Now, if I wanted to, I could come up here and rename this snapshot to be called drums or something. But I don't think I'm going to be doing too much in the browser, so I'm going to skip that. But it is another option you have to help organize your browser. So like snapshot 1 could be drums, snapshot 2 could be your undo history, just whatever helps you with your workflow the most. And as a beginner, you might not really know what to do yet, but later on you'll probably figure out the best way to set everything up for your own needs. Thanks for watching my tutorial video. I hope you found it to be helpful. If you want to learn more, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can watch new videos as soon as I upload them. After that, check out the Beat School website. I'll have the link in the description. All my tutorials are organized on the site so that you can easily find what you need by browsing through the different categories. There are also a ton of awesome resources to help you in every aspect of music production. And if you want to help support me, you can buy any of my sample packs, preset packs, or project files for only $5 or less. This gets you some great sounds for a great price and allows me to spend more time making these tutorials and working on the website. Thanks again for watching my video, and have a great day.